AI at Work and Education, Week 3 of July 2026. Hey, it's Maddie. Welcome back to AI at Work and Education. This week we've got a landmark lawsuit accusing Meta of using AI to pick who got laid off. New data suggesting some of those AI layoffs are already boomeranging back into rehires. Anthropic making its biggest classroom push yet with a free tool for teachers, and a wave of new AI rules hitting law schools and state K-12 systems all at once. 6 stories, 1 thread. Everybody's still figuring out the rules in real time. Let's get into it.
Segment 1, Education. First up, Education. On July 14th, Anthropic launched Claude for Teachers, giving every verified K-12 educator in the U.S. free access to premium Claude features for a full year. Standards-aligned lesson planning, covering all 50 states through something called Learning Commons, and an AI fluency course built with Teach for America. Plus integrations with 9 existing classroom tools like Canva Education and Brisk Teaching. American Federation of Teachers President Randy Weingarten publicly backed it, calling it a tool designed by and for educators, and Anthropic says student data is excluded from model training and covered under a FERPA-compliant K-12 data agreement. This matters because it's Anthropic's clearest signal yet that it wants Claude in the classroom, not just the boardroom. And it's entering a field where 61% of teachers already use AI in some form, up from just 32% 2 years ago, with Google and OpenAI both making their own aggressive plays for the same schools. The practical takeaway: if you're a teacher, this is genuinely worth signing up for now while it's free and unlimited, but treat it as a planning and admin assistant, not something that replaces your actual instruction time in front of students.
Segment 2, Job Market Impact. Now to a story that could reshape how every company handles layoffs going forward. 26 former Meta employees filed a federal lawsuit in Oakland on July 15th, alleging the company used AI systems, including keystroke monitoring, AI token usage dashboards, and algorithmic performance rankings, to select candidates for its roughly 8,000-person workforce reduction, a cut of about 10% of headcount that began back in May. The plaintiffs say those systems by design penalize anyone on medical, parental, or family leave, since their activity data simply can't accumulate the way an in-office employee's does. And roughly half the plaintiffs were on some form of protected leave when they were let go. This is a big deal because it's one of the first major test cases of whether AI-assisted layoffs can violate disability and family leave law, and the outcome could set the template for how HR departments everywhere are allowed to use algorithms in reduction decisions. Meta says the claims lack merit and that people, not AI, made the final calls. But if you're in HR or people ops anywhere, the takeaway is simple. Any algorithmic tool touching headcount decisions needs a bias audit and a paper trail before it ever gets near a leave of absence list.
Segment 3, AI in the workplace. Zooming out to the bigger workplace trend. New reporting this week on Anthropic's joint venture with Blackstone, called Ode with Anthropic, shows just how much money is chasing the gap between buying AI and actually using it well. Ode grew out of a $1.5 billion deal that acquired the engineering firm Fractional AI, and now runs on roughly 100 elite engineers working Claude first, but staying technology agnostic. And it's not alone. Anthropic, OpenAI, Microsoft, and Amazon have now committed a combined $8 billion to embed engineers directly inside client companies. Because 71% of executives say the real barrier to AI success is organizational readiness, not the technology itself. And 85% of companies still report fragmented or poorly integrated data. This tells you the AI job market isn't just shrinking, it's also shifting. The fastest growing roles right now aren't model researchers. They're the people who know how to actually wire AI into a company's messy, real-world workflows. And demand for that specific skill set is running well ahead of supply. If you want to be more valuable at work this year, the skill to build isn't using ChatGPT. It's learning how to redesign a process around AI, because that's the job companies are now paying billions of dollars to fill.
Segment 4, Education Policy. Back to education and a very different response to AI. The University of Chicago Law School released a sweeping AI strategy statement on July 10th that pilots a no-device policy across all 9 of its core first-year classrooms starting this fall, banning laptops, tablets, and phones, and now requires every JD student to defend their major research papers in person, out loud, with no notes. Dean Adam Chilton put it bluntly, saying they don't want students just typing a case name into Claude or ChatGPT and reading back the answer when they're called on, while AI Committee Chair William Hubbard added, "We're no longer talking future tense here about how fast the profession is changing." This is part of a bigger pattern since Berkeley Law banned default AI use for drafting back in May, and UT Austin's dean has pushed for more live classroom dialogue since June, and it matters because it's a preview of how assessment itself is changing across higher ed. Professors are shifting from take-home work, which AI can now do convincingly, to live, in-person demonstrations, which it still can't. That said, the schools aren't anti-AI. They note 58% of practicing lawyers already use generative AI daily, so the goal is teaching judgment alongside the tool, not instead of it. If you're a student anywhere, the takeaway is to stop treating AI as your first draft and start treating it as your last-mile editor, because your ability to perform without it is quickly becoming the thing that's actually graded.
Segment 5, Education/Policy and Regulation. And in K-12 policy, Idaho released its first draft of statewide AI standards on July 13th, built by a 27-member committee of educators and industry experts under a new state law, Senate Bill 1227, laying out exactly what AI literacy should look like at every grade band. Kindergartners learning that AI has no feelings and can't replace human judgment, middle schoolers studying how training data creates bias, and high schoolers digging into algorithmic systems and career applications. One committee member summed up the philosophy nicely, comparing it to giving a teenager a car. You need driver's school first, meaning access to AI should come paired with explicit instruction on when and how to use it responsibly. It won't be finalized for a while, with up to 18 months of review and public comment and a legislative vote, before it could roll out as early as the 2027-28 school year. But it matters because it's one of the most detailed, grade-by-grade AI curriculums any state has put on paper, and other states are almost certainly going to borrow from it once it's final. If you're a parent, teacher, or school board member anywhere, this is worth reading now, because public comment periods like this one are exactly when policy actually gets shaped, not after the vote.
Segment 6, Job Market Impact. One more job market data point worth flagging. A Forbes analysis published July 17th argues a lot of these AI layoffs are starting to boomerang, pointing out that Microsoft cut around 23,000 jobs and UPS cut around 32,000, citing AI-driven efficiency. But that AI realistically handles about 60% of a given job's duties, leaving the other 40%, judgment calls, exceptions, relationship management, with nowhere to go but back to a human. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy has openly said the company expects AI efficiency to keep shrinking its corporate headcount, even as founder Jeff Bezos told an audience the same month that we're actually headed for a labor shortage, not a surplus, a contradiction that tells you even the executives making these calls don't fully agree on where this lands. The pattern showing up across multiple companies is blunt either way. Cut too fast, discover the capability gap, then pay twice, once for the severance and again to rehire and retrain. The practical takeaway if you're job hunting after an AI-cited layoff, don't assume your old role is gone for good, because a meaningful chunk of these cuts are getting walked back within a year, and the companies doing the walking back are quietly rehiring through referrals and boomerang postings rather than big public announcements.
Verdict of the week. Okay, verdict of the week. Out of everything we covered, Claude for Teachers is the one thing you should actually act on in the next 7 days, and here's why. It's free, it's a full year, it's backed by real privacy commitments the American Federation of Teachers signed off on, and it doesn't train on student data, which is more than you can say for a lot of edtech tools that have quietly rushed into classrooms this year. But don't let the hype run ahead of the tool. Use it for lesson planning, differentiating materials, drafting parent emails, and analyzing assessment data. The unglamorous admin work that eats your evenings. Do not use it as a substitute for actually teaching the lesson, and definitely don't let it touch anything with a student's name attached without checking your district's policy first, because Idaho and plenty of other states are actively writing those rules right now, and they may land differently than what Anthropic ships today. And if you're watching this after an AI-cited layoff rather than as an educator, don't panic and don't assume it's permanent. Between the Meta lawsuit exposing how messy these decisions really are, and the Forbes data on companies quietly rehiring, the smart move is to stay visibly upskilled on AI tools in your field, document your own output, and keep an eye on your former employer's job board, because a real chunk of these cuts are getting walked back. My take: sign up for the tool that fits your role, use it as a co-pilot, not a replacement, and revisit your comfort level every semester or every quarter, because the ground is still shifting under all of this.
Recap. So to recap this week, Anthropic launched free Claude access for K-12 teachers, 26 Meta employees sued over allegedly AI-driven layoffs targeting workers on leave. A Forbes analysis found some of those AI-cited layoffs are already boomeranging into rehires. $8 billion is now flowing into companies whose whole job is making enterprise AI actually work. The University of Chicago Law School banned devices in its first-year classrooms to preserve in-person learning, and Idaho dropped the most detailed state AI standards draft we've seen yet. 6 stories, 1 theme. The tools are moving fast, and the rules, lawsuits, and rehiring decisions are all racing to catch up. Sign off. This is AI Maddie. If this kind of tracking is useful to you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel at AI Maddie 369 on YouTube so you don't miss next week's rundown. Friday, we're back with AI Tools news covering the biggest product launches and updates you actually need to know about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.